This is Maya. She was a brilliant 7th grade student, and after a long summer break, it is now time for her to begin her 8th grade classes. So why am I saying that she was a brilliant student? Well, on her first day of grade 8, her math subject started with the chapter called Quadratic Polynomials and Equations. At first, it kind of made sense to her, but after she went back to her home and tried to revise the chapter, nothing made sense at all. So she asked us to make a video on this topic, and here we are making a video on the topic quadratic polynomials and quadratic equations. So what are quadratic polynomials? Well, second degree polynomials are called quadratic polynomials. But what are polynomials, you ask? So polynomials are any expression which consists of more than one term. The general form of a quadratic polynomial is ax square plus bx plus c, where a can never be equal to 0 and all a, b, c belong to the set of real numbers. So for example, in this first example, x square plus 2x plus 1 is a quadratic polynomial where a is equal to 1, b equals to 2 and c equals to 1. And in this second example also, it is a quadratic polynomial, x square minus 5x, where a is equal to 1, b equals to minus 5 and c equals to 0. But example 3 is not a quadratic polynomial because in this the term consisting of x square is not present because a equals to 0. Hence it becomes a linear equation. So what are quadratic equations? We have learned about quadratic polynomials, but what are quadratic equations? We know any equations consist of two sides connected by an equal to or an inequality sign in the middle. So what are quadratic equations? If we add equals to 0 on the right hand side of a quadratic polynomial, it becomes a quadratic equation. So x square plus 2x plus 1 equals to 0 is a quadratic equation. Likewise, x square minus 5x equals to 0 is also another quadratic equation. Here is a note. On solving any quadratic equations, we always get two values of x. Any variable whose power is raised to 2, we get two values of it. So they can be equal or they may not be equal in some cases. In some cases they may be equal. So let's learn about those cases. Now, how to solve quadratic equations? Solving quadratic equations, we have a general formula for solving a quadratic equation. So it goes like x equals to minus b plus minus root under b square minus 4 times a times c whole divided by 2 times a. This gives two values of x because of that plus minus sign in the middle. We take positive and negative values of x to get two values. So for the first equation, we had x square plus 2x plus 1 equal to 0, where a was equal to 1, b equal to 2 and c equal to 1. So if we plug in those values of a, b, c in the formula, we get like this. So it goes on to solve with a value of x equal to 1. Now let's plug in the value of x as minus 1 in the equation, and it shows that it satisfies the equation. But here is the question: why is there only one value of x? In the previous note, I had told that solving a quadratic equation always gives two values of the variable whose power is raised to 2. But here is only one value of x. Why is that? So here is a note. If b square minus 4 times a times c, this is the term which was in the root on the formula, is equal to 0, the roots of that quadratic equation or the answer simply are equal and are also real values. In this example, we had the discriminant or b square minus 4 times a times c equal to 0. Hence, it gave only one value, equal value, and it was a real number. And if b square minus 4 times a times c is greater than 0, then the roots are always real and unequal. We get two different roots. We will do an example of that also. And if b square minus 4 times a times c is less than 0, then the roots are imaginary, which we do not have to learn as of now. So let's take the second example, x square minus 5x equal to 0. Here a equals to 1, b equals to minus 5 and c equals to 0. If we plug in those values of a, b, c in the formula, we get like this. So x equals to 5 plus minus 5 by 2. Here we need to take two values of x with a positive sign and with a negative sign. So let's take positive value first. X equals to 5 plus 5 by 2, which gives us x equals to 5. Also we need to take the negative value, so x equals to 5 minus 5 by 2, which gives us x equals to 0. Hence there are two values of x, since the discriminant b square minus 4 times a times c was greater than 0. So if we plug in these values of x in the equation, both of the values satisfy the equation. Hence these are the two answers. So if c equals to 0, there is an easier method to solve a quadratic equation. In this second example, we had x square minus 5x equal to 0, where c was equal to 0. So if c is equal to 0 in any quadratic equation, we can solve by taking a common factor of x. So if we take a common factor of x in this equation, we get x times x minus 5 equal to 0. So for this expression to be true, the value of x should be 0 or the value of x minus 5 should be equal to 0. This only satisfies the equation. So either x equals to 0 or x minus 5 equals to 0, which on solving gives us x equal to 0 or x equals to 5. So this was the way of solving with the formula or without the formula. Other method for solving quadratic equations are graphical method, or breaking the middle term, or completing the square, and there are much more methods to solve a quadratic equation. These three are the main. So this was it from Physics, Chemistry, Maths Made Easy. Thank you for watching the video and see you in the next episode.